A German professor. He was one of the top professors in Germany pre-World War II. A few years before the war broke out. This German professor was what you would call a self-hating Jew. He denounced his Judaism. He wanted everybody to know that there's nothing Jewish about him anymore. Matter of fact, to make the point, he went out and he got engaged to a German woman, Goya, and to show everybody, to make a point, he took his wedding invitation and he hung it inside the shul to invite the whole kihila, to invite the whole shul to the wedding that he's going to wed this Goya, this German woman. What a chutzpah. Just to show everybody how much he wants to make his point that he's a self-hating Jew. Matter of fact, they say that he even took the invitation and he put it in the German newspapers to let the Goyim know that he's one of them. He's one of them. Well, a few years later, after he got married to this German Goya and he had a few kids, the war broke out. Hitler, Yamach Shemo v'Zichro, came to power. The Nazis were in power at that time, 1939. And one night, there was a clandestine meeting that took place by the dining room table between mother and children. And the topic of the meeting was, what are we going to do with Daddy? He's a Jew. It's our loyalty to Mother Germany that we are to come clean and to come forth, to tell the authorities that our husband, our father, he's a Jew. To let them know, what should we do? And they decided that they must come clean. They decided they must do the right thing. They must give their father over because he is a Jew. And it's there that evening the mother and the children went to the Gestapo's office. And they came in with tears. How we betrayed Mother Germany. But now we want to do what's right. Our husband, our father, he's a Jew. Take him away. Do what you must do. And it was that night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, the Gestapo was infamous for pulling people out of bed in the middle of the night in their pajamas to mimvayesh them. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the Gestapo comes banging down the door. And they come charging into the house. And as they run into the bedroom to pull this professor, this Jewish man, out of bed, his wife and his children are yelling and screaming, "There he is! There's the Jew! Get him!" They pulled him out in his pajamas. Betrayed by his own family. Right? What does Borei Olam tell us? Va'avdil etchem. Ay, 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 ay. You think you're going to go mix with the Goyim. You think you're going to be one of them. You think you're oil. They're water. You don't mix. You can try. But it doesn't go. To the extent that it'll take, says Borei Olam, I'll even have the Goyim be the ones to separate you. I'll have the Goyim come along and be the ones to remind you that you're not like us. You're a Jew. And there the Gestapo pulled him out of his house in his pajamas. And he was yelling and screaming. Everyone heard him. But I'm not a Jew. I'm not one of them. You got a mistake. I denounced my Judaism. The Nazis were laughing. They took him and they threw him in a cattle car like sardines with the rest of the Jews of the city on their way to the death camp, on their way to Auschwitz. And it's there when the train finally pulled up in Auschwitz. And the doors opened. They were allowed out. And at that moment they began to strip the people of all their belongings. And there were a few great men who were gripping the Sifrei Torah that they brought along with them. They didn't know where they were going. And the Nazis took the Sifrei Torah and threw them on the floor. Stripped them of all their goods, all their belongings. And put them online to find out if they were going to go to the right or to the left. To the right is to life. And to the left, we know, the gas chambers. And there, when they saw this professor get off the train, the Nazis wanted to have a little fun. They walked up to him and they said to him, "You say you're not a Jew." He says, "That's right, I'm not. This is one big mistake. I've been telling you guys all night. Let me go. I'm not part of these people. I let everybody know that I'm not Jewish anymore. The Nazi says, if that's the case, then come. Now listen to the evil rottenness of the Nazis' Yamach Shema. They were all about torturing their victims. Not just physically, but mentally as well. How do you torture a man who claims he's not a Jew? You know what the Nazis did to torture him? They made him pick up a Sefer Torah. They made him hold the Sefer Torah. This professor screaming he's not a Jew. The Nazis made him hold one of the Sefer Torah, and by gunpoint they told him, we want you to start dancing like Simchat Torah. That's the way you torture a self-hating Jew. You make him act like a Jew. There's no greater torture than the truth. And this guy had no choice. By gunpoint, he began to dance with the Sefer Torah. And they were screaming, dance, faster! Faster! And he's dancing. And he's dancing. And he knows one wrong move, they'll shoot him, they'll kill him. And he continues to dance. And after a minute or so, all of a sudden, the Nazis begin to see that this professor, gripping Sefer Torah, dancing, he begins to close his eyes. He begins to get into the dancing. He begins to grip the Sefer Torah a little tighter. He begins to start singing songs of Simchat Torah. The Nazis turn to each other and say, wait one second, this is getting out of hand. He's starting to get into it. He's starting to enjoy it too much. We got to stop him. They quickly pick up their rifles. Okay, take the scroll, throw it on the floor, and spit on it. He grips the Sefer Torah, the professor, the apikores, the boged. And he says, no. I'm not going to throw it on the floor. And they said, we're going to kill you. Throw the Sefer on the floor. Throw the Sefer Torah on the floor. He holds tight. I'm not going to throw it. They took the butts of their rifles. They began to beat him. 10 guys. They were beating him, and he would not let go of the Sefer Torah. And he was dying with the word Shema Yisrael. And there, laying in a puddle of his own blood, with his last breath, he looked up to the Nazis and he said to them, thank you for returning back my religion to me. Vayarach et reach bog dav. He smelled the scent of the rebels and the traitors of Am Yisrael. And you know what their scent was? Kereach hasadeh. It was the scent of Gan Eden. That's what it means to be a Jew. That's the neshama. That's that spark that's in each and every Jew, no matter where we fall to, no matter what we do. All we do is come in contact with a little Kiddusha. All we do is come into a mini Bet Hamikdash, a Bet Knesset, a shul. And all of a sudden the guy's on fire. All of a sudden we have unbelievable Teshuva. That's what it means to be a Jew. And now I want to tell you, I understand the Gemara. Gemara says, Im paga becha oto menuval. If you're walking on the street and you bump into that disgusting person, you know what the Gemara is referring to? Who's oto menuval? Yosel, who's oto menuval? Yetzer hara. Im paga becha oto menuval. If you bump into that Yetzer hara, he comes knocking on your door to pull you, to test you, to bring sin to your door. In paga becha oto menuval. If you bump into him on the street, the Yetzer hara, what should you do? Mashchehu lebet hamidrash. Schlep him into the bet hamidrash with you. Go to a shul. Go straight to a yeshiva. Over there, he has no strength. Just walk in. All you got to do is just walk in. And the Kiddusha that's there, of the mini Bet HaMikdash, what it'll do to you and what it'll do to him is incredible. Just like Yosef Meshisa, the greatest Rasha, walks into the Bet HaMikdash, walks out Tzaddik Gamor. Yetzer hara paga becha bashuk. He's bothering you. He's chasing you. He dressed up like a beautiful looking Nisayon. What do? Mashcheu lebet midrash. Grab him by the hair and pull him into shul. And you'll see, there he has no power. There you're a flame, you're a fire. You walk into the shul, you walk into the kiddusha, you walk into... He can't touch you. That's the power of a makom kadosh. That's the power of a good environment. That's the power of a good sviva. That's the influence that our surroundings have on us. Make sure it's always a surrounding of kiddusha v'tahara.